So I'm playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor on this channel, and I am editing the episodes down. Oh, destroyer droid. Here we go. There we go. Ow! It hit me! Did you see that? Oh my god! And you wouldn't believe, as a video editor, how useful it is to have a go-to piece of music that you can use to refer to for like montages or recaps or like coming up bits at the start of the video. So I needed one for Jedi Survivor. Now, all things being equal, I would have used Duel of the Fates from Phantom Menace, but then someone told me that Disney is actually really weird about copyright stuff, which I thought can't be right because the mouse looks so friendly. But also, I suppose I am a musician and a composer, so it would probably be good practice for me to try and make some of my own. So I figured I'd do a legally distinct bit of music in the style of the famous Star Wars Cantina band. I thought I would see if I could do this in a day, and if I could, show you how I did it. And I made this decision before remembering that this style of music in Star Wars is canonically called jizz, which is a gigantic problem for any content creator trying to make videos about it. Anyway, here's how I make my jizz. Apparently they're trying to like rename it to Jats, which, I mean, yeah. Good choice, mouse. So, in A New Hope, the famous Cantina band music is played by Figrin D'an and the Modal Nodes. They're the in-universe band, but IRL it was composed, of course, by the legendary John Williams. Weirdly, it's the only bit of source music in the film, that is to say, diegetic music that the characters can hear, so in terms of world building, it's super important. This is the song that tells us what music is like in the Star Wars world. So fittingly, this famous piece of music came about via a completely unhinged instruction from George Lucas. According to the New Hope LP liner notes, George's pitch was, "Can you imagine several creatures in a future century finding some 1930s Benny Goodman swing band music in a time capsule or under a rock someplace, and how they might attempt to interpret it?" Okay, George. Initially reading this, I was like, right, fine. All I need to do then, I need to listen to a whole lot of Benny Goodman and recreate that. Rip that off, rip off the vibe, and I should be golden. But that wasn't the case. Benny Goodman, known as the King of Swing, was a clarinetist and big band leader. So on the one hand, it's a brilliant clue, right? The music should be up-tempo, and it should evoke a party atmosphere, and it should be woodwind forward, probably, because of the clarinet. But the more Benny Goodman I listened to, the more I realized this was not the Cantina band vibe whatsoever. The Cantina band has an energy that is more than just like swing or big band, and that was what John Williams brought to it. So listen to this. Again, this is from the New Hope liner notes, and this is where things start to get weird. We used 9 musicians, mostly jazz. They included 1 trumpet, 2 saxophones, 1 saxophone who doubled on clarinet, a Fender Rhodes piano, a Caribbean steel drum, assorted percussion, a drum, and an ARP synthesizer for the bass. Okay. So now the objective becomes, make some swing band music, but with steel percussion and synthesizers. Can do, John. So we start with a really simple chord sequence, something that a real jazz band could riff on and improvise on all night. I wanted to get the synthesizer bass that John Williams mentioned in there early, because I felt like that would dictate a lot of what followed. Now, ARP synths are these kick-ass big old analog monsters, but I'm not looking to spend thousands of pounds becoming a jizz whaler here, so in a case of triple corner cutting, I just found an ARP 2600 patch for a Yamaha DX7, or to be specific, for a piece of software called Dext, which is an open source synth modelled on the famous Yamaha DX7. It kicks ass, it's really good. It sounds close enough. It's pretty squashy and wobbly, which felt right listening to the Cantina band. So here's a bass line using that. It just repeats forever. Because again, I only need this to like fill at maximum 20 seconds ever, so why make more work for yourself? Now, there's not a lot of drums on the real Cantina band, but I knew that I was going to run into a problem down the line where I couldn't add as much brass and woodwind as John Williams has, because I only have virtual instruments to use, and when it comes to stuff like trumpets and saxophones, you have to be really sparing with the virtual stuff or it can end up sounding super naff. So to fill out the sound a little bit, I gave myself license to get a bit busier with the drums. So here's a simple pattern with brushes. That just repeats, because again, 20 seconds, you won't notice how repetitive it is, it's fine, we can get away with it. So, delete those placeholder piano chords, and now we can start really getting into it with proper instruments and trying to nail the vibe. The Cantina Band has a really strong offbeat feel, almost kind of reggae-ish, so I'm picking that out here with a trumpet. I'm using the Swing Instrument Pack by Project Sam, and seeing as I knew that at some point I would have to add a Fender Rhodes piano because John Williams said so, I basically just added that in here at this point to reinforce the swing rhythm. Alright, that's the easy part done, and now is the much harder bit. I have to do a melody. So just do a melody that's as good as the Cantina Band, one of the most famous tunes in the world. This is actually very challenging, to create a melody that feels Cantina Band adjacent but isn't the Cantina Band. Honestly, the biggest challenge to start with was just getting the Cantina Band melody out of my head and sort of deleting it and trying to like clear some space there because it is so catchy. Frankly, it's just a tribute to how good John Williams is at melody. It's completely bonkers, his grasp of it. Anyway, here is a very pale imitation. If I'm being self-critical, I think it's like a little on the busy side. I don't think it would impress many jazz performers, but it kind of swings. It has that unstable feel of the original, I think, where it just sort of drifts on and off the beat. That's about the best thing I can say about it. The bigger problem was that having got this far, I was considering giving up, because listening to this, it still, to me, does not even remotely have the right Cantina vibe, and I didn't know why. Then I remembered that there was something left that I'd forgotten, the steel drum. So I just doubled the melody on a steel drum, honestly not expecting it to make very much difference, but then, oh man, unmute it, and oh my gosh. Oh, figuring damn! Listen to that, right? I couldn't believe the difference that this made. I don't know how many times I've heard the original Cantina Band song, probably upwards of 1,000, but I never consciously was aware of the steel percussion in there and how much impact it was having. Having realised what heavy lifting that was doing, I added in a load more of it, basically like other kind of percussion stuff, just to double down. So that got me a few seconds of Cantina Band-esque music, and after that I just had to copy the structure of the original, so trying to mimic an improvising jazz band, which is to say having instruments drop out, having new instruments take the lead for a bit, like just sort of copy-pasting the melody over, but changing a few notes here and there, changing the timing so it kind of feels organic. In jazz, with improvisation, you're basically kind of like taking turns, doing solos, kind of passing it round, so that actually is a surprisingly easy thing to quickly replicate when you can just copy-paste chunks of your music. I tried to keep it quite sparse so that it feels like the players are relaxed. Also, bear in mind that this is all music that you're not really supposed to ever listen to, it's just supposed to be in the background, so it doesn't have to be perfect, and it definitely can't be too busy. Finally, to make it sound knackered and old like it came from the 70s, I used a plugin that I really love called Retro-Fi. That is just brilliant at making anything sound broken, busted. And that's it. All of a sudden, I was done. And it took less than a day. But the lessons I learned will last a lifetime. And those lessons were... I guess I was pleased with the process. Rather than just diving in with the instruments, I was probably smart to go and do some reading, basically get a couple of hours of homework under my belt before I started faffing around with the keyboards. I think as well, it really drives home why parody is such an enduringly popular style, because it's fun, because if you are the person making the music, like I don't love listening to parody songs or anything, but they are the most fun to make as a composer, because it's a challenge, it's a puzzle, right? It's like, how do I nail this exact vibe? And also, I guess the more composing I do, the more music I make, the more I gain an appreciation that I didn't have when I was younger, that basically every genre is really good. Like, the more you look at it, the closer you look, the more complicated it is, the more nuance, the more intricacies there are to basically every style under the sun, all through history. Anyway, that's it. Now you know how it's done, so that should you ever need to, you can also, from the comfort of your own home, create jingles.